What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? I want to welcome you again to the Billy Graham Jr. TV show. And man, I hope everybody is having a blessed week. I hope everything is going great for you. I hope you're using your gifts to live in your purpose because, man, the young lady that I have today, the amazing young lady I have today, I can sit here and name all the wonderful things that she's not just doing for her and her family, but for the people in her life, the community, the way she helps people. But in order to do that, it will take the whole show and you will never get to talk to her because this young lady, she does so many things. When I say a jack of all trades, but she is the master of a bunch of trades. And I'm not going to hold her up. I'm not even going to delay you from letting you see how she's living in her purpose. So I have to introduce you to the one, the only, the amazing Raven Thissel.
Hello. That was such an amazing introduction. I've never been introduced like that.
Well, why would you expect anything else with all the stuff that you do, the amazing person you are? It would be a disservice if anybody said anything else about you like that. Like you're a mate. Like I can sit here. I don't know if everybody can see my excitement, but I'm just excited for what you're about to share with everybody else.
I'm excited too. I've been looking forward to this. I've been really looking forward to coming on. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to your audience.
Well, by the time this is over with, they're most likely going to be your audience when they hear everything. I want everybody to know Raven is the lovely young lady that we were supposed to do this interview a couple weeks ago, but that was when I got to Africa and internet did not work for me. And I was not going to let the opportunity slide by for you all to get to know her. So, yes, I know she's from Louisiana, also one of my home states. But I have to let you know who she is. Raven, can you please tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Hello, everyone. So I'm Raven Thissel. I am simply an authentic being authentic. My my trades are various and sundry, but my one purpose and one mission in all things that I do is to max out in life. I want to be the person that God created me to be. And I'm grateful that God created me to do a lot of different things. So I never feel tired with all the things that I do because I'm rooted in a singular focus.
Man, see, this is why you got that introduction. Because as you already know, so my mom is always in the building. And so she couldn't wait to hear from you. And then I have a person that I refer to as my Aunt Fran. And she's in the building saying good evening. And Cynthia, hello to you as well. We thank you all for joining. But you already started off by saying being your authentic self. In order to live in the purpose and all the gifts that God gave you, Raven, you had to be authentic. But I'm not finna let you because you kind of talked over it real fast. And I'm not going to let you talk over it real fast. I want you, for one, let's tell us first, what got you started in the industry that you're in?
Okay, so the primary industry that I work in is the sports industry right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I am in marketing communications. That's sort of the thread that runs through everything I do. I started in communications, I'll say when I was in junior high school. I moved around a lot. I was a military brat growing up. And I was excited to finally be able to move back to my hometown in Louisiana after traveling all over the country with my immediate family. Well, when I arrived back in my small hometown, I spoke different from everyone else. I dressed different. I thought different. I was just different. And so naturally, when you're different, you're a target for bullies. But my method of sort of fighting the bullying was through humor. And I would have these little shows in the quad during lunch where I would do accents and pretend that I was a newscaster. And I would make jokes about everybody that was listening as a news broadcast. And that was something that people started to know me for and look forward to at lunch. And it was something that saved me from getting beat up by bullies.
hold on. Because as you're telling us this, communication. So gave you that gift of communication, and it started such an early age. All I can see is the movie Kid and Play, where Kid is in the jail cell, rapping and telling jokes to stop from.
Yes.
So you basically started in school in the quad,
Yes.
sharing your gift, and your gift was it was giving others back what they needed, which was humor, but it was also given to you something to you by saving you.
Yes. And I mean, even when I would move around, I started off as a shy person, but I quickly got in touch with my natural inner social butterfly, and I connected with people. I always connected with the people who were the outcasts and people who maybe didn't feel heard. Those were always my people. And so, even in those spaces, I was their voice. I would speak for them. I would defend them in situations. I was always the one who was doing the communicating, whether it was for humor and salvation, or or if it was for connecting genuinely with other people. Um, so from there, from junior high, moving on into high school, still in Louisiana, I joined the speech and debate team. I did that, and they also had a drama category, and so I got to do a lot of acting all over the state. Won some awards for acting back then, and then in college, I majored first in interior design. I have always been an artist, and I wanted to be an artist as my profession, but I got intimidated my freshman year there, and I had this false idea that you can't make money as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I changed my major to marketing. Um, I figured that I would be able to use my skills to promote things that were true and be impactful in the industry where a lot of things that you see are not real.
Yes.
So that was my goal. I skipped something. I didn't want to go to college at first.
No, nobody
Um,
does.
I didn't want to go. My family made me go to college. My mother made me go. I found out about a program where children in Madagascar who had been orphaned by AIDS, their orphanage was accepting like expats to come and just love on and take care of these kids. And there was somebody who was willing to sponsor me to go. And I was like, I'm going to Africa. Like, I'm not going to college. Um, Not when these babies don't have no mommies. So
Yes.
my family was like, "You're not going to no Africa." And I was 17. So anyway, after that, I went to college. I started doing ad work there. I started a few organizations on campus to promote literacy, to help small children improve their reading at the Boys and Girls Club, and to help. I went to a predominantly white institution, and so my goal was also to inform my white classmates about Black history. So it was a book club, the Avid Readers Club. We read things like Black Like Me. Um, we read a lot of texts to educate people on what it is to be Black. This was also around the time that Barack Obama was elected as president. That was my first time voting. um, we did a lot of campaign things. And I started consulting. While I was still in college, I started consulting for different businesses, helped restaurants get off the ground, small business owners with their marketing and communications tools, social media stuff, advertising. Um, and should I go on?
Hey, I told you by the end of this is gonna be the Raven Thissel show. And I admit that. The people hear from me all the time. I'm gonna go back and dissect some stuff that you said, but I want you to tell it all. I got some, but you go ahead.
Okay. I don't normally get to like just go through my whole story like this. This is a lot. This is a mouthful.
But they
So
need to hear that because somebody's gonna resonate with what your story is.
for sure, my mother always told me that I I never needed to choose one thing. She said, you can do everything that you want to do. You don't have to do it all at once, but if there's anything you want to do, write it down and you can do it when you get ready. And so I took that to heart. So after college, I didn't want to get a job right away. I moved in with some family in Texas. I became a waitress at Olive Garden, and still to this day is one of the most fun jobs I ever had. Was serving. And during that time, I kept consulting. I moved to Norfolk, Virginia. I had lived there for a while as a kid, decided to go back there. I got into the hotel industry when I arrived. I was very bad at my job as director of sales, very bad, very bad. And they paid me way too much to be that bad. And so I felt like they were catching on to the fact that I was really bad at what I was doing. So I decided to quit. And what I did was I followed my passion at the time for cooking, and I started my own business as a private chef and caterer. So I did that for a year. And during the time that I was working as a private chef, it was so much fun, Billy. I loved it. I used to do private dinners for couples. That was my favorite thing. I would come clean the house. I clean the kitchen from top to bottom. I come like 5 hours before dinner, prep everything. I'd have music for the couples. I would prepare them a 6-course meal, and then clean everything up, have the leftovers in the fridge for them, like super swanky, right?
Do you still do that?
I do. I do it for friends. I do. Yeah.
Hey, friend.
Come cook for you and your wife. Tiana, you know I love you, girl.
Oh, you know she here. She already said she loves what you're talking about. She's here. Donald's here talking about blessings. Goldie's here talking about hello. Everybody's here listening to you. So keep going because you're making me hungry now.
Okay. So I cooked. I did that for a year. At the same time, I also worked as a caregiver for a few people. There was, at the church I was attending, one of the pastors had a father who had bipolar disorder, and a son who was autistic, and his wife had stage 3 breast cancer.
Wow.
And so I became the caretaker for their family. And I was just I loved everything I was doing so much at that time. Shortly after that, I got married to my college sweetheart, who was stationed in Hampton at Langley Air Force Base at the time. I stopped cooking because I got pregnant with my first child, and I needed work that was going to be a little more like friendly to me, not being on my feet all the time.
Understandable.
For some reason, I thought being a stay-at-home mom would be that for me, but who told me that? Who told me being a stay-at-home mom was going to be easier?
I don't know, but they lie.
They lie.
I watched my wife did it. I've done it a couple times. They lie.
It's the hardest job I have ever done.
And I commend everybody that does it.
Yes, you should. Yes. God bless you. So I became a stay-at-home mom for a short time, like probably my 8th month of pregnancy. While I was pregnant, I started practicing something called hypnobirthing. And I fell in love with all things birth and just natural birthing, everything. I had her in a beautiful midwifery center in a Catholic hospital. They treated me like I was the only woman who ever had a baby in the history of the world. They treated me so good. If I could go stay the night at that place again.
Oh wow.
And so after becoming a mom, I immediately was hit with postpartum depression.
Wow.
My postpartum was so bad that I honestly did not want to live. I found myself at times deeply overcome with thoughts of ending my life. And I knew that it wasn't me. I knew that I wasn't okay. I tried to get help. I got therapy. I alerted everybody in our lives, all of our friends, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm going through. Check on me. If you think about me, come over. I was really concerned about my safety. At month 3 of Sophia's life, my oldest daughter, I discovered that I was pregnant again. While I was going through postpartum.
No time wasted.
No time wasted. um, so going through postpartum while pregnant was definitely the most challenging time of my life. Um, and during that time, I was seeing an amazing therapist named Erica in Virginia Beach. And she introduced me to something called mindfulness.
Oh,
And
yes.
it was a game changer for me, Billy. It was a game changer. It was amazing how and for those that don't know, mindfulness is the practice of bringing your awareness into the present moment in practical ways. You can do it through focusing on your breath. You can do it by thinking about how the texture of your clothes feels against your skin. Any
Yes.
little thing that you're doing throughout the day, you can fold mindfulness into. And so that's what I started doing. I started thinking about how the baby smells when I would nurse her. And I started feeling the temperature of the water when I'm washing dishes. And it changed everything for me. I was amazed. So we got orders, my ex-husband, now ex-husband and I, to Italy. Um, so with an almost 1-year-old at the time and 8 months pregnant, we relocated out of the country.
like you didn't have enough going on, but it's okay.
Yeah, recovering from postpartum depression while pregnant, all of that.
Just move.
Already didn't have any family around and was overwhelmed by motherhood because I was never one of those girls that was like, oh, I'm going to get married and have babies. That wasn't me. I was the one that was like, I'm going to be focused on my career and traveling the world till I'm like 40. Maybe I'll get married. Maybe we'll adopt some kids. That was my plan. So this whole wife and mother thing was just so overwhelming for me already.
I can't help but laugh because you tried to tell God your plan, and he's a free joker with that. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Yeah, go ahead, keep thinking that. I'll show you, but keep thinking it.
Right, exactly. So yeah, we moved to Italy, and while we were there, I met Billy's wife, Deanna, and Billy, and so many other amazing people, Shira, and the list goes on.
Man, that was
Bethany.
a good group there.
It was such a good group of people. I was a stay-at-home mom for some of the time that I was there, and then I began working in the squadron, in the FSS squadron, as the commercial sponsorship director. And that was so fun. I learned Italian very quickly so that I could communicate with. I already knew French. I'm pretty fluent in French already, so I was able to
I never knew about the French one.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
What do you not do? Keep going. Keep going.
I love languages and words. I'm a communications person.
We established that, but I'm keep going. Keep going. No, keep going. Don't stop. We're all listening. We're being mindful right now.
Thank you. So after I started working with the squadron, it was my job to go to local Italian businesses. Remember, we're in North Italy; they don't speak English, and sell to them the opportunity to provide funds to the base for events and activities that support the military families that aren't covered by the government money. So that was extremely fun. It was so rewarding. I was so happy to be back at work and not at home all day. And during that time, my marriage was just falling apart. Actually, my marriage had been falling apart since a week into it. And at that point, we were seeing our 7th marriage counselor. And I had come through the depression. So I was mentally well. Um, and so I knew that I needed to leave the marriage. It was very scary, but I was even more afraid to stay. I didn't feel safe in my own home. And so and nobody knew. It was
No,
like
we
I
didn't.
was, yeah, nobody knew. um and I felt a sense of allegiance to not tell. But it came to the point for me where I had so much urgency about living in freedom and becoming myself again. Going back to work reminded me who I am. And I knew that I didn't want my daughters to grow up seeing and experiencing what was happening in my home.
Yes.
So if it hadn't been for my daughters, I probably would have stayed until we went to 15, 20 marriage counselors. But because I saw the look on my 2-year old at the time's face when she witnessed something that happened, I was like, yeah, it's time. I got to go now. So I made arrangements. I did come forward and make arrangements with the squadron to leave as soon as possible. It interrupted everything for everyone, and at that time, I was making the decision to become a single mom.
Yeah.
I had been a stay at home mom for so long. I didn't have any money. I had $900 exactly when I left Italy. And I flew from Aviano, oh no, from Venice back to Dallas. My family was waiting and picked me up there. I moved into my aunt's back room with my 2 children who were under the age of 2, and I didn't have time to cry.
No.
I didn't have time to cry. It was, honestly, I felt so relieved to be surrounded by people who loved me, to be in an environment where I felt safe, that I didn't even have a cry in me. So at that time, I restarted my consulting business. I got on the phone. I called everybody I could think of. I couldn't afford to put my kids in daycare. So I watched my 2 babies under 2 all day. And then after I got them to bed at night, I was doing consulting work all night. During that period, I slept for about probably 2 to 4 hours a day. And it took me 6 months to build my career up enough for us to be on our feet and be well. Um, After that, after we got out of that, staying with family, which I will never be able to repay them for, um, I landed a job at the illustrious HBCU, Grambling State University, as their marketing and communications manager, or interim director of communications, however. And after almost 2 years in that position, I helped them start a new initiative
Oh,
called the Doug Williams Center. And the purpose of the Doug Williams Center is to exist in the space between sports,
mhm.
academia, and anti bigotry. So we are creating solutions to racial and gender inequality in the sports industry.
Wow.
Yeah, which is like, yes, doesn't it? It's just a culmination of all the things that I've done. So with me helping them to start it, they moved me into full-time leadership role there, and I'm doing that now. Also, last year, I forgot to mention I went to health coaching school while I was in Italy. Um, I was I
Health coaching school.
I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition online, and I learned all about holistic health,
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Keep going.
meditation. And so in 2020, I founded Crowned and Calm Co., which is my company that's dedicated to um, breaking down the stigma around mental health in the Black community and providing mental health tools and resources for Black people. So I spent 9 months during just when the pandemic started, creating a system for Black men to learn meditation, mindfulness, Um, it is comprised of an ebook that I wrote and 10 audio meditation guides. It helps with anxiety, it helps with dealing with your childhood traumas, healing your relationships. All of those things are covered in there. And now I'm working on the women's system and the children's system.
Wow.
I have Crown and Calm Co. I have my consulting business. I still take on consulting clients. I have some phenomenal clients right now. One of them is actually a private chef in Virginia, like I was. Um, and I am working full time for the Doug Williams Center, creating racial and gender equality solutions in sports. And I'm mothering two. My girls are doing wonderful. We're all doing great. Their dad is doing great. He happened to get stationed and move nearby, so we get to share the kids and co-parent. That relationship is panning out great. So God has brought a lot of healing in a lot of places in my life. I've grown so much as an individual. The way I respond to things is so different now. My perspective is so different. And I guess that's what I do. I hope I didn't forget anything.
You mean there's more?
I hope I didn't forget anything.
So there was a reason that I wanted you to go down that road.
Okay.
Because many individuals believe that when they see somebody like, oh, they got their life together, things are just great, and nobody ever talks about the build up to get to that point. And your whole, like, you gave us parts of, I know it's just parts, but everybody is loving it. They're like, wow, like, it's amazing. Like, you started without even knowing it. This is how purpose works, everybody. When you're operating in your purpose, sometimes you're doing it without even knowing you're doing it. And there's no age limit. Raven started off with something that she thought was protecting herself by standing in the quad, cracking jokes, communicating, that it ended up branching out into helping others. She was speaking on their behalf. And that started in school. There's no age. So all of us out there got kids, younger people in our life, help foster that within them. Because there is a Raven out there that needs that extra push. And then not only that, you went into, most of us not wanting to go to college, but you went because you wanted to go to Africa, which Africa's amazing. Just wanted to throw that in there. But we all have this sense of fear when it's time to live in our purpose. Mm-hmm. And then for you, when you first arrived, there was that intimidation factor. But you had to realize that that fear was just false evidence appearing real, and it led you to something else, which became marketing, which your focus came back around to communicating to show other people the real reality. See how that fear works? You use that false evidence appearing real, and you turn it around and face everything and rise. And you started teaching not just how to consult, but you took on teaching people about the Black culture. Now, I want to stop there just for a second because I'm going to keep dissecting. But mental health is real. It's a big issue, not just in the world, but within our culture. And I noticed you said how you started with the programs, what you did with the men, the women, the kids, with everything that's going on and how big mental health is. Because we just had, like, because I know you said the sports world, like Simone Biles just went through what she went through in the mental health side. This young woman is a world-renowned Olympian. And she tells everybody she has mental health issues, and they start saying, oh, you're just not ready to compete. And it's like, what else does she have to prove? She's broken all this record. So can you take a moment, because somebody out there up in from their younger age up until when you got to college, when we got to that stopping point, they're dealing with mental health issues that might have them going down the wrong path. What can you say to help not just bring them back, to help them understand that they're not an outcast like the individuals you fought for in the past, that they are normal and what they're going through is just something that's a mental health issue that you can help with?
Absolutely. This is so important, especially in the Black community. The first thing I would say to somebody who is struggling with their mental health, their mindset, is that there's nothing wrong with you. It's completely normal. Most people, if not all, go through periods exactly like what you're experiencing. I would also say that it is very important to learn mental hygiene. I steer away in my practice from using the term mental health too much.
Okay.
I prefer to say mental hygiene because I feel it's more approachable for people. When we think about healthcare, it's this huge thing. It can feel so overwhelming. Where do I
Yes,
even
yes.
start? But when I say hygiene, you think about brushing your teeth, taking a shower, you think about having a routine so you don't be funky. And mental hygiene works the same, so that you are taking care of your mental and emotional space. It's important to have a system of habits. And so if you don't have a practice of taking care of flossing mentally, it's important to figure out what are those things that are going to help you. For some of us, like myself, mindfulness and meditation have been beautiful tools for me. I meditate every day, twice a day now. Um, I use mindfulness. I still struggle with anxiety sometimes. And so when I do feel anxious, I now have tools that I can use. I can reach in my toolbox. If I'm anxious during a meeting at work, I know how to breathe mindfully to calm myself. If I am anxious before bed and I can't sleep, I know, okay, you know what? I've been anxious for a week now. Let me reach out to my therapist and let her know we need to schedule up for next week. I got some things I need to sort through.
Mhm.
So I would say open your mind to having help. There are tons of resources out there for you. If you don't want people in your business, which is something that's a big part of the stigma in the Black community, then you can do things like telehealth. There are apps like BetterHelp that are there for you to have virtual therapy in your home on your own schedule. Um, you can mention to your doctor the symptoms that you're having, and perhaps your doctor would refer you to someone if you trust that. And then there are things like what I've created, like the system for meditation. There are journals. There are people on YouTube who you can follow, professionals. Please vet them. But I would say don't just stop um, at prayer alone. Prayer is a beautiful tool. I pray every day, but it needs to be a part of your toolbox. If what you're doing right now isn't working, find new things and be open to medication. Some people do have, especially if you have experienced prolonged traumas, they can create brain injuries.
Mhm.
Having high levels of stress hormones for long periods of time can create literal injuries in your brain that make it hard or
Right.
impossible for the hormones that you need to be happy and feel normal to get to where they need to go. And so there are medications that help you correct that. You don't have to take them forever, but they help to connect those synapses so your brain can begin functioning properly. It doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. Mental illness is just illness.
Man, you that mental hygiene, I didn't even think of that. I'm pretty sure just like everybody else out there, because you like you said, it thinks about cleaning. And that mental hygiene, I'm thinking about when like grandma used to be like, "Oh, don't listen to that trash. Are you looking at that trash again?" Mental hygiene is cleaning that trash out that's in your mind. Because Barbara Smith, thank you for tuning in, Barbara A. Smith. She says it best. Mindfulness and meditation is huge. And sometimes you have to take that opportunity for yourself. I want everybody to understand you're not being selfish by taking time to heal yourself. You're no good to others. I don't care what your gift or your purpose is. You're no good to anybody if you don't take the time to heal yourself. And there are other avenues, as Raven was just telling us. I understand, like, I was raised with the Bible, pray about it, just wait for God. Like, I get that. My faith is strong. But in our community, we have to understand that there are other avenues and other resources out there to help you. And Raven has been telling us about these resources. And just think about these resources that individuals don't have at the time. We thank Raven that even when she was going through everything you went through, because we commend you, the depression, the postpartum depression, the thoughts of suicidal ideations, those are real mental health illness, and you have to seek help. I'm sorry that everything that didn't work out for you and your husband, but as you stated, you saw in your kids, it reverted you back to those days in the quads where you had to speak up for individuals that were needing help. And you had to speak up, not just as a mother, as a woman, you had to speak up because the younger next generation was watching what was going on. And they can't live in their purpose if all they see is negativity that doesn't make them, not you feel safe, but not even a safe environment for them. So I commend you for stepping out and finding help and getting through those situations, for the simple fact that you're able to share this with us here today. Because believe it or not, you said things that I'm like with everybody else. I wouldn't have known. They wouldn't have known if Raven Thissel would not have shared it. And not only are you sharing it with us, you took it right back. You hit the ground running when you got back to Louisiana. Most people curl up in a ball and just let life happen. But that wasn't your purpose. And it led you to that HBCU where you, I want you to explain to us, because that's not an easy feat. Not only did you get a job at the HBCU, it's big getting a job at any university, but your purpose and everything that you've done from the beginning of helping serve others, and I thank you for that service. How do you go about starting a whole new program from scratch? Can you explain, because everybody's going to have to watch your video about You Are Enough later. I want you to understand how much that you have everything inside of you. You are enough to make things happen, to move mountains. Can you, Raven, tell how you showed you were enough to even start a project at an HBCU that would grow to what it is right now?
I can't. Well, absolutely, I will. I have to first say that authenticity and connecting with who you really are is everything. I'm not meant to be Billy Graham at all. I am such a huge fan of everything that you do, everybody that you have on your show. And it would be so easy for me to look at you and say, I could never do that. And that's true. I could never do that because that's not meant to be me. I believe that God created each of us intentionally and specifically, perfectly for the desires that she placed in us.
Hold on, can you say that again? Say that
I
whole part
believe
again.
that God created us intentionally and perfectly and specifically to
Yes.
fulfill the purpose that she placed in us.
Yes.
And so the desires that you have within yourself are what you're intended to do, and who you are is how you're intended to do it. One of the most beautiful things that I've learned is to let go of how. How is not my business. My business is to show up as me.
Yes.
My business is to figure out who's my optimal self, like to continue growing. I talk a lot about authenticity, but I think it's important for me to also mention that authenticity is not always a good thing. You can be being yourself and be being someone who's wreaking havoc and causing bad things.
Yes.
You can be creating chaos by being your unhealed self.
Yes.
So healing is my job. Connecting and remaining connected to God is my job. Being aligned, being at the right place where I'm supposed to be is my job. Listening to myself and trusting my intuition is my job. Those are the only things that I have ever done that have worked for me. So with regards to your question about how the university stuff played out, I cannot take credit for that. What I can say is the right people saw what I was doing and liked it and trusted me and gave me opportunities. I won't say that I didn't work hard because I think I expressed that I did. But acting on my ideas and taking chances on myself, sometimes I was in a room full of people who were much smarter than me. They have much more credentials than me. They definitely made more money than me. And I felt like, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. When I started grad school last year, That's exactly how I felt in class. I started getting my MBA at the Walton School of Business in Arkansas, and it is a program that basically feeds you into working for corporate Walmart. And most of the
Okay.
people in that program already work there. And so they're talking about things that I don't even understand and numbers and stuff. And I'm like, but when I got into our class and I saw that there were no Black people on any of the slides, and I heard that the way that they talk about inclusion, I was like, you know what? This is why I'm here. I'm here to be me. I bring me to the table. That's what I bring to every table. And sometimes me gets rejected, right? Like it's not it's not always a smooth ride and it's not always fun. It can be
Mm-hmm.
painful. Right now I'm being challenged to grow in some ways that are really uncomfortable and scary for me. But I trust that if I keep showing up as me, that's how it's going to play out. So the former direct vice president of advancement for the university called me at 8 p.m. one night. I normally do not take work calls after hour
No.
because I get paid until 5. um, but I answered the phone because I thought maybe there was an emergency. And at the time, I was leading all the crisis communication, so I panicked. Um, and he was like, "Hey, I got this idea. Doug Williams Center. Call me first thing in the morning. Don't forget." And he hung up the phone. And so I ended up on a call with several other people where he told them Raven's going to be doing all the marketing and stuff. Raven's going to be doing this. Raven's going to be doing that. She's going to do that. Call Raven about that. So I kind of just got thrown into it. He told me his vision and he trusted that I could turn it into something tangible. And I did.
So I want you to understand, I'm big on giving people their flowers while they're here. You said you can't take credit. And me, along with all the other viewers that are now Raven Thissel viewers and fans, will let you know that you need to take that credit. The same way he said Raven's going to handle this. There's a reason that you were placed there. Like you said, I could have been at that same, would have got nothing. They would have been looking and I just would have been like, it worked, going in and out because I'm not Raven. So you deserve that credit because you're the one that had to be there. It was your thing. Nobody can, what's for you, it's for you and only you. Nobody else can do what you do. So no, you're going to take these flowers from us while you're here because we appreciate that. You were that voice in the room with all those other individuals that were taking the class. I don't care how smart you thought they were. You were that voice for us. And I need everybody to understand when you're operating in your purpose, you're not just a voice for yourself. You are the voice for others. You've been that voice since you were in the quad. You were that voice with consulting. Your purpose has been to be the voice for others. The mental hygiene that you taught us today. You're the voice that we needed to know these things. And we appreciate you and we want you to know that you are going to take this credit because this doesn't happen without you. Because you said it best. In those situations, you were uncomfortable. You didn't feel like you fit in. God gave you a gift and a purpose that you didn't have to go knock down the doors that you're so used to, accustomed hearing people say. Your purpose opened the door for you. You had to be in that room because you belonged in that room. And yes, it was uncomfortable. But if I can look up uncomfortable in the dictionary right now, your picture probably is next to it. Because I tell people all the time, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because that's how God pushes you with your purpose. And man, if I didn't say any better, which by the way, I got a present in the mail for you.
Oh, yay.
One of those things, and I normally don't even do this, but Raven basically just described this to you all. This is Gift Seeker. Live in your purpose. I just written this book and Raven touched on something in it, and it was about the how. I normally don't give the snippets, but I want you to understand how positive that was for not just me, but I want everybody else that hasn't read the book yet. You can't worry about that how in life. In life, that how, because you think about a story, you know your 5 W's, who, what, when, where, how, why, and how. they like how the story ends. In life, nobody technically knows when their story is going to end. Nobody knows the day that you're going to be called home. Most people have their hair done, got money in their pocket. They had plans. And you touched on that with the how, but you also touched on it with the who. You have to know who you are. And we thank you for knowing who you are, because who you are put you in those rooms. Now, you touched on the mental hygiene, but it's something else that you also touched on that I want you to talk to the people about. Because you said about medicine and different ways that you might need help, but you also said something about holistic. Can you please explain and give us some details about what you meant when you were talking about a holistic way of living?
Sure. Ooh. But also wait, congratulations on your book. I am excited to read your book.
It's on
Yeah,
the way.
okay. I can't wait. And thank you. So holistic means basically it's not just natural. But what it means is thinking of yourself as an entire being and not just healing one or two things at a time. If you have diabetes, for example, you go to a standard practical medicine doctor and they will give you insulin because they are responding to one physical symptom that's happening with
Okay.
your condition. A holistic doctor is looking at your lifestyle, is looking at your spirituality, is looking at your diet, is looking at your relationships. A holistic practitioner understands that your relationships are the biggest indicator of your longevity in life. And so they're
Yes.
going to talk to you about what's going on and assess you from a holistic or an entire perspective of what you're dealing with. So for example, if you have diabetes, of course you keep your regular, I'm not a doctor, but you would have your doctor, you would have me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, okay, you're doing the insulin. What's your diet like? What time do you go to sleep? What is your day-to-day routine? Who's stressing you out in your life? And what can we do in those relationships to help improve those cortisol levels? And so it's a different approach to your health that I believe people really need to get back to, and more people are falling into this line of thinking and realizing that your body is connected to your mind, is connected to your emotions, is connected to your environment, is connected to your relationships. Many people don't know that loneliness impacts your likelihood for heart disease at the
Wow.
same rate as smoking. At
Wow.
the same rate as smoking. Please Google this. Like, fact check me, y'all. But
Wow.
knowing things like that will make you make decisions a little differently. It'll make you look at other people with a little more compassion. We judge people so harshly when we see them making poor decisions, like, oh, she's still with that guy. She's so scared of being lonely. Well, loneliness is something that we should all be afraid of. Cultures and communities whose families stay together, they're the healthiest people on the planet.
Yes.
So we have to really start thinking about our health in a very different way than what we're taught in our standard American education.
Man, I could not have said that better, because we always talk to people and we mental hygiene. It's all about mental, mental, mental. But you just gave a nugget for everybody that not just living in your purpose. In order to do that, you just can't have the mindset. You have to have the whole entire package. You have to work on your physical, your mental, your health. You have to work on so many different avenues in order to live in your purpose, or your purpose might get cut short because you didn't
Mhm.
look at the whole being of who you are. Man, you so I want you to know from all of us that are watching, because yes, even though I'm talking, I'm actually watching this show. I feel like, for one, we know you have to come back, because we are nowhere near done with any of the stuff that you told us, because you've given us so much to reflect on tonight. So much that we can dive into and we start working to become the better person that we need to be, to use the gifts God gave us, because it's not just one gift. You already heard from Raven. She the master of so many things. I was surprised when she said she wasn't the doctor. But if you notice, she works with the doctor. So it might as well say she's the doctor, because last time I checked, when I go to the hospital, the nurse does most of the work and tells the doctor what to do. So you're going to be Dr. Raven tonight. But no, for real though, I don't want, for one, let's stop, this pause. I want to ask you, how can people, let me breathe like you told me to do. I'm just excited. How can people that want to reach out and continue to reach out and get more from you, how can they get in contact with you, Raven?
Well, there are so many ways. I should probably narrow it down to just one, but
no, tell them all. They can go back and watch it and save them. Ernest is here. He gonna put stuff in the feed. You fine. Just tell them.
Okay. Well, you can follow me on Instagram. I do check my DMs there. It's at Raven Thissel. You can also, if you would like to talk to me and have a consultation with me, you can visit thisselconsulting.com, and you can book time on my schedule there. We can book for communications consulting, project management consulting, or holistic health coaching. And then also, I am excited to announce, this is my first time announcing, that I have created a journal for those of you who want support in your healing journey, healing from whatever emotional, mental hurts that you need to heal from. And you can find that at crownedcalm.com. That's also the place where you'll find other resources from my mental and emotional wellness brand, crownedcalm.com. And if you want to book me for speaking engagements, you can also do that at thisselconsulting.com.
Wow. Well, I want you to know, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm going to be one of those individuals reaching out, because as you said, we all need some kind of coaching, help, mentor. So best believe I will be reaching out. But before you go, I want, and I don't care what it is, can you please just give a nugget, whatever it may be, tell the people whatever comes to your mind that you feel can help them become better versions of themselves, whatever comes to mind.
I will say, I'm actually going to borrow words from my grandmother. She was my best friend, and I lost her in December last year.
Sorry to hear that.
Actually, it was tomorrow, not last year. Her last words to me were, no matter what happens to you in life, find ways to forgive the people who hurt you, forgive yourself, and laugh as often as you possibly can.
Wow. I am one of those individuals that I need to take that saying to heart, because I also need to use that in my life as well. Again, we definitely have to have you back on. I love it.
I would love to come back.
Oh no, we want you back. We're gonna be talking real soon about how soon we can get you back, because you have so much more to offer and so much more to give. Because believe it or not, there's somebody out there right now that's listening to you that has been you at some part of your life. I appreciate you on behalf of everybody. I thank you for sharing your story, because we all have been a part of that story somewhere in our life. And to know that you can get through it, and that you can come out on the other side, and that you can keep prospering, and it doesn't have to necessarily stop you from helping others. And we appreciate you so much. Once again, now don't go nowhere, because I want to talk to you after the show. But once again, along with everybody else, we want to give you your flowers while you're here, because we appreciate everything that you've done, that you're doing, and that you're gonna do in the future.
Thank you.
No, thank you. But until then, we'll see you on the other side. Man, did y'all get all that? That is so much to unpack. So much in just a short hour, that small time frame. Raven gave us so much. And that last quote by her grandmother, we have to go back and forgive those that we felt done us wrong, and we have to learn to forgive ourselves as well. I couldn't have said it any better, but she dropped nothing but nuggets. If you didn't catch the whole entire show, please go back, watch it from the beginning, share it with others. This show is also streamed on LinkedIn. It's streamed on Facebook, Billy Graham Jr. 2.0. It's streamed on YouTube, Billy Graham Jr. 2.0 as well. Like, this show is all about helping you understand how you can use your gift to live in your purpose. And how do you do that? You see other people that are examples of how they are using their gift to live in their purpose, because I know you can do the same thing as well. And again, we thank you for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you. We'll be back next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. But until then, just as Raven is doing, I want you to live in your purpose, with purpose, on purpose. See you next week.
Hi, my name is Billy Graham Jr.
Growing up, everybody thought I was going to be an actor. They're like, you're funny, you should go be an actor. I was like, I can't be an actor, can you see? What is my purpose? If you're like me, I lost my purpose. I didn't know who I was. I let society put me in a box. I don't want you to be in the box anymore. Because you and you only are the one carbon copy. There is no other you. So how can you be in a box if it's only one you? So you need to steal your power back, because we gave it to somebody. I want you to say, steal your power back. Steal your power back.
Mr. Graham said, I am an original, I'm not a photocopy.
You are where it begins. It begins with you and only you. You are the director. You are the author of this book. Nobody should be writing your life story. You are the winner. See, a lot of us, we get caught up in wondering when we're supposed to do something, why we're supposed to do something, where we're supposed to begin. But I'm telling you, you are the author of your book, and that's all that matters.
My time here in Kenya has been amazing. Everybody has welcomed us with open arms ever since we landed. Nothing but hospitality, nothing but family. We felt like we were home.